Campers, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees. From Friday the 13th, I'm here with AJ, and he's got the juiciest slice ready for you. It's dripping with blood. Jason never dies.
Salutations all. I'm back to take on a rather touchy and some would say rather horrific subject, that of unrequited love/lust, and the utter devastation of rejection.
I'm excited.
The Last American Virgin is an old-school coming-of-age dramatic comedy from the early 1980s that by current standards would be considered not so sensitive or politically correct. Also a polarizing film, replete with plenty of cringy secondhand embarrassment, and nonetheless packs a powerful emotional punch. Most take the side of this young delivery boy.
If you were to spend more time in school instead of cruising around with broads in my car, then you'd learn how to read. Now come on, hurry up, and this time bring the car back. You said I could have it tonight.
Gary, when his crush Karen rejects him for his best friend and cad, Rick.
Can we figure out what we keep doing wrong?
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half.
Since for Gary, the film ends on this down note. A young man weeping after getting slapped silly by reality is a rough sight. A lot of us know his pain. The thing is though, Gary isn't so innocent. And even though Karen makes a rather immature and bad decision to not only get with Rick in the first place, but get back with him later, Gary wasn't necessarily so deserving of getting with her either, and he certainly wasn't entitled to her.
Wasting my time here. Tell me how. Hey, cool it for a second, Gary. Should be interesting.
Thanks for checking this out. I deeply appreciate it. If anything about this trips your fancy, please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
The basic construct is this. Average guy Gary chums around with his best friends, heartthrob Rick and chubby but down to clown David.
Babe, why don't you walk over there and invite the three ladies back to our table? No problem.
In so doing, they get up to all kinds of dumb youthful shenanigans.
David's just sitting there telling me that they're easy ladies.
Why the hell did you have to promise them drugs? Because that's what they wanted.
From tricking some ladies around their age into snorting sweetener as if it's cocaine in hopes of getting laid.
Want another line?
You be like, now?
Yeah.
No, a lot.
Good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Only for things to go awry when Gary's folks come home early.
Oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. How? Just don't stand there. I want these tramps out of here.
To visiting a spicy and adulterous wife for some fun time.
Oh, it's my little muchacho. That's so soon.
Hi. Me and my friends, we just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Only for things to again go awry when amidst other comings, her husband comes home.
What a nympho.
Requisitioning the services of a rather crass lady of the night.
All right, cowboys, who's gonna be first? I want to get this over with.
Go ahead, Gary, you go first. Go on, Gary, go on.
For things to yet again, at least for Gary,
My goddamn luck, I get all the live ones.
go awry.
Go on, man, go ahead. Hey, what's wrong?
This escapade leads to a PSA not only for teens but maybe for everyone when our three bozos experience discomfort.
Rick, I can't stop itching. Me too. It's driving me crazy. Oh, shh.
And because they can't shut up about it,
I feel like my balls are burning up. Oh, I know Gary's too. David, I'm dying.
manage to get themselves kicked out of class.
Gary, David, Richard, out of this classroom at once. I warned you. Out!
To comedic effect.
Report to the principal's office right now. And close the door.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be a fun one to explain. Determining they are under invasion from tiny creepy crawlies.
Crabs? Crabs, you know,
like head lice. But what the hell can we do about them?
Or as Clint Howard would say, Rick has the answer to all their problems.
Please, don't worry about it. I know a way we can get rid of them.
Truly ingeniously,
You sure this is gonna drown them?
they attempt to drown them out.
But I thought crabs loved water.
Yeah, well, not this time. Yeah, well, how do you know? I know. Tommy had him and threw him in his parents' jacuzzi.
No, I'm sure that did the trick.
Okay, that should do it. Let's go then.
Just gotta get on with life now.
Ah! What's wrong? They didn't drown. I'll see you later. I'll be right back.
Okay, if drowning and chlorine poisoning got rid of crabs, such infestations wouldn't be such hassles. With no other options,
I need something to kill ticks.
of course they end up at the pharmacy.
It's not really ticks.
Not thick.
And beating around the bush. Hey, isn't that where their problem started?
It's more like lice.
Anyway, beating around the bush ensues.
See, it's not exactly lice either.
If it's too awkward to be honest with a pharmacist when your naughty zone feels like a nuclear fallout site, you're probably not mature enough for sex.
Crabs at your age. Young people.
I'm noticing a pattern of behavior. Also, are these guys Eskimo brothers? At least David and Rick? Nah, I don't want to know.
You're exhausting. Can't help it. I'm a rascal.
All the while, Gary and Rick compete over in court new girl Karen. How does each go about this? Well, Rick, he engages Karen and acts like a normal horny teenage guy, but is basically himself. And Gary? He feels that trickery and subterfuge are the only way to manufacture an encounter.
Something wrong?
I'm not sure.
Well, let me have a look. Looks like you have a flat.
Can't be fixed?
I don't know.
Oh, darn, I'm gonna be late for school.
Well, can I give you a lift?
Okay.
Karen likely sees through this rude and charade, so Gary's first impression is one of desperation and deceit, which maybe disqualifies him from a romantic relationship with Karen immediately. The reek of desperation makes the eyes of women water worse than mustard gas. As friendly and flirtatious,
Can I offer you some pizza?
No, thank you.
How about a big meatball sandwich?
No, thanks. I just had breakfast.
as Gary attempts to be,
What's your name?
Karen?
Sharon?
Karen!
Marion?
Karen with a K.
when she gives him this look, I think it's because she knows she has a loyal orbiter. It doesn't help
I wanted to ask what you were doing tonight.
I'm afraid I'm busy.
that he immediately reveals his hand.
Oh, it's too bad. See, because I know about this really great happening party tonight.
Sorry.
You know, his obvious infatuation.
Karen? Let me ask you something straight out.
Go ahead.
And then his neediness.
Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
Well,
Thanks again, Gary.
Gary shows up fashionably late to the party and discovers Karen came after all, and is getting friendly with Rick.
listen, I want you to meet the love of my life. Gary, this is... Hi, Karen.
Hi, Gary.
If glowering were music, Gary would be a maestro, conducting the saddest, most self-indulgent symphony ever.
I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough.
When the lovelorn fool gets a moment alone with Karen, he tries to act cool.
What's the matter with you? Are you drunk?
Not yet. I'm just getting started.
Well, seems like you're off to a pretty good start.
And comes across like an obnoxious little boy.
Hey, do you want some?
Oh, no thanks, I'll pass.
How's about a big meatball sandwich, huh?
A good lesson.
Gary. Hey, you better lighten up on that stuff, man. Turn your brain to shit.
Don't add arrows to your rival's quiver when a hunt is afoot. Humiliation often leads to unfortunate decisions, and really coming across as a jackass.
What, jerk? Larry. Hey, you're fucking right, man. Get it together.
The 80s were a hell of a time. You're too angsty and wasted to stay at the party. But go ahead and drive away. I don't think it would be woke to say that's not the best lesson.
Oh, Lord.
When all is said and done, Karen relinquishes her virginity to Rick.
Put someone else in your arms.
Gary takes the news well.
I fucked Karen. You're full of shit. You're lying. What do you want me to do? Show you an instant replay? You fucked Karen? Shh. She'll hear you.
Of course, the act leads to...
I'm pregnant.
And Rick does what a guy like him does and denies.
I told you that we're through anyway, so why don't you just split and leave me alone, okay? Would you get the fuck out of here already? You're embarrassing the shit out of me.
Gary sees a chance to swoop in and isn't a white knight at all.
I'm gonna take care of this, understand?
Nah.
I'm saying that I'm probably not the only guy that ever screwed her. Take that back before I second bust your head wide open!
While the others take a ski trip over the Christmas holiday, Rick having already moved on entirely.
Come on, let's go. Come on, all right, come on.
Hey, wait, where you going? Come on, Dad. Get in.
Our nice guy steps up to see Karen through an abortion, even raising the funds.
Still, it does cost money. $250 to be exact.
That's okay. I can cover that.
And taking the ridicule as if he were the irresponsible man who heedlessly planted seeds in a private field.
You know, of course, there are certain precautions you could have taken before the few moments of pleasure that you enjoyed.
Maybe he in some way enjoyed that someone thought he engaged in carnal relations with Karen. Afterwards, he provides space to recover. And they seem to bond. Later, there's a party for Karen's birthday.
Am I invited?
That's a dumb question.
Where Gary intends to give her a necklace and make their relationship official, only to come upon that heartbreaking scene. Leading to pitiful Gary's tearful departure. All things considered, better than a kick below the belt, but not by much. Yep, he learned the hard lesson that for way too many, life is a shit stew boiling down to a thicker shit stew you're sampling from for all your days.
I don't have time for these shenanigans.
To be fair, Bart Simpson got this harsh lesson at the tender age of 10.
I have a boyfriend. You won't be needing this.
Scratch that, it would probably be better to face this humbling before the added bonus of puberty hormones, gumming up the mental works and adding to the psychological trauma.
Alright, let's cut this shit, and now let's all get serious.
I admit that I used to be a bleeding heart for Gary. When I was a rather desperate young man myself, this was one of those singularly disconcerting watches, a flick equal parts sad and depressing. Then after many years I gave it a rewatch, and was dumbstruck to realize Gary is the definition of the nice guy meme, a guy who's ultimately not nice in a true way, but nicey nice. He plays at being understanding while plotting and employing machinations in hope of tricking a woman in some way into liking, loving, or just lusting for him. Gary has integrated and adopted aspects he has seen others employ to be successful with girls, but can't even be adept or suave when getting in practice with a girl he has no vested interest in. Not understanding his insecurities hold him back because the ladies can see through his fakeness. The harder he tries, the worse it gets. And he stubbornly stays the course despite other options.
And you know, Karen won't hang out with me unless Rose comes along. Besides, she's got the house for you, man. Oh, gee, thanks a lot.
For instance, Rose, Karen's friend who actually likes him and isn't a terrible booby prize. Well, Gary views her as a total annoyance.
What's been happening in your life?
Not a whole hell of a lot, Rose.
That's the problem with fixation. Opportunities come and go while pining eats up time and energy. Unrequited love only hurts one side of the equation.
It's very convenient, isn't it?
If he were so dead set on getting what he wanted, working on himself would have been key to being a more attractive guy. Rick is ostensibly better looking, but that bridge could be gapped if Gary worked on his charisma, developed some woo, and got in better shape.
There you go again.
Were he to merely improve his physique, he would likely be more able to compete with Rick in the looks department. Or maybe the looks difference wasn't that important. It was a personality thing. And had Gary been more honest from the start, and not in some way forced Karen into spending time with him, she would have been more open to his overtures. He could have introduced himself and offered her a ride without letting the air out of her tire, and in so doing let the air out of his chances of getting her while being full of hot air himself.
Damn!
The thing of all this is that Rick, despite being the pretty boy with a yen for attracting top girls, is a more genuine guy who is successful because he plays it fast and loose and carefree.
Good news travels fast, huh?
They're up to all the same bad behavior, but he's not hiding behind any nice guy pretensions. And unlike Gary, their shenanigans actually lead to him having sex and gaining experience while Gary suffers humiliating missteps, misfires, and mishaps.
No, dummy, not there. Move up a little.
A bona fide trifecta of defeat. Why would this be? Is it perhaps that one, for all his bravado, can't act when his heart is engaged elsewhere?
You move like you don't want to get laid.
While the other is driven almost entirely by youthful hormones? While pursuing Karen, Rick is his fun-loving self, a more enjoyable guy to be around than sullen Gary, and is honest about his very physical interest in her without presenting any games.
I'll be cool. All I need is an hour with her.
Of course, to what's beyond the fun he doesn't give much thought, certainly not about the possibility of pregnancy or them getting into a committed relationship. Meanwhile, Gary views her as his dream girl, someone too good for him he needs to con to stand a chance. And because he wants the whole shebang, an actual relationship, nearly all of his actions come across with that off-putting desperation.
There's always next time.
It's telling that he carries on with his friends in the sort of activities I'm guessing he wouldn't want Karen to be up to. But how he fails or chickens out or loses his nerve or however you want to view it is maybe even more telling. But that doesn't mitigate that he's attempting these activities while fancying, desiring, and pursuing Karen in what he would argue is a purer and realer way than Funboy Rick. All the while, Rick bumbles through these sexual liaisons all the way to notching Karen's V-card.
Hey, what's it got to do with you, man?
I think this reveals the difference in their intentions towards Karen, and how Gary's seriousness and obstinacy blinded him to many truths.
Yeah, well, what are we supposed to do now?
If you pay attention, women give off signals. When Gary found that Karen turned up to the party, he should have seen the writing on the wall, and deciphered those hieroglyphics to mean she wasn't interested in him romantically. Either she was planning to go to the party all along, and when he broached it didn't relate as much, or she met someone, likely Rick, who convinced her to go. Both scenarios reaffirm the conclusion. It hurts, it's one of the worst feelings.
Oh, come on, man. You might as well forget about her. Maybe he'll give you sloppy seconds.
Yet the sooner acceptance, even begrudging, can be found, the better. But that's easier said than done, because, to quote Emily Dickinson, the heart wants what it wants.
Yep, that stands up to scrutiny.
I don't know, maybe Gary was doomed by a society that will always produce young fellows who act like him.
He thinks that's funny. He thinks it's a funny thing he's doing.
I apologize for nothing.
And his buds, guys who don't really have a clue but think they know everything and are entitled to what they want without having gained enough maturity to handle the physical relationships they desire.
What's your problem?
Of course, obtaining their goals will always be easier to live out for some than others, as Rick's path seems to have fewer obstacles, which only brings out Gary's worst instincts. Why? Rick is naturally confident without using alcohol as a social lubricant. Gary's only confident when he's being underhanded. Don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Rick, nor suggesting he was more worthy of Karen. If anything, based on his antics, he's as or more undeserving. He's no doubt a disloyal scumbag out to serve only himself. When Karen confronts him about ditching her, he has no qualms against gaslighting her.
What happened to you last night? I waited till 11 o'clock for you.
What happened to me? What happened to you? I called you at least 10 times.
My phone didn't ring once.
To cover that he was conjugating with a streetwalker that made his jungle south of the equator lousy with blood-sucking creatures. Blew her off the second he found out she was carrying his child.
Anyway, I've had it with her. It's over.
And slut-shamed her to separate himself from responsibility.
She's not the first. Yeah, but you are. Have you forgotten? Me? The first? Forget it, buddy.
Some of that really makes you have to wonder what Karen's dysfunction was to return to such a vile man. But then some women are just prone to the bad boys.
God help us!
All I'm saying, Rick was better able to utilize the tools at his disposal to attract, entice, and win over Karen.
Look, I told you to count me out in the first place. Hey, you're supposed to be my buddy. Help me out tonight, remember?
The social politics in this film are all over the place. A hallmark of the teen experience, thus appropriate, as all the drama was pretty common then and maybe even now. Even the crappy dynamic between disloyal male friends.
So what?
As Gary and Rick have no trouble hamstringing each other despite being buds. I suppose in that way they represent weak males. It was hoes before bros with them, not a healthy outlook when strong friendships outlast breakups and divorces, since romantic relationships, sadly, can disintegrate spectacularly, especially high school relationships. Not to say folks can't fall in love young, stay the course, and stand the test of time. It's just a statistical unlikelihood. Gary himself has some problems understanding the depth, nuance, and spectrum of male-female relations. That he equates his kind actions towards Karen as a threshold he's crossing to enter into a romance with her reveals his naive grasp.
I loved you. I could never tell you, but...
Not all giving falls under the definition of white knighting.
So what are you gonna do, come to a rescue now? That's what you should be doing to Ricky.
Where that comes in is when expectation, honestly on both sides, plays a role. I believe in helping out, and having a charitable heart, and being there for a friend. But that's just it. That comes with no stipulations. The only time quid pro quo comes into it is if I need a helping hand, and that person volunteers to step up and return the favor. But I don't expect it. Altruism has to be its own reward, a lesson Gary clearly hasn't gotten. Because the truth of it is, being nice or good to a girl doesn't automatically ignite attraction on her part. Attraction doesn't work that way. And even if she's a genuine person not consciously using him, that doesn't mean she'll now view him as partner material, just because he displayed decency and kind-heartedness. Helping out, displaying compassion, and even providing funds, none of that means he's entitled to a romantic relationship with Karen.
You know, you've still got a lot to learn, little boy, you know?
Does Karen have to bear any guilt for lancing Gary's heart like a boil? I don't believe she's unaware of his attraction to her, and the less charitable view of her would be that by knowing he's an orbiter, she openly used him by exploiting his juvenile yearnings. After all, she was intuitive enough to know even if he was demonstrating friendliness, he had some ulterior motives going on. It wasn't like he was very subtle in his approach. The thing is, though, Karen seems authentic and even kindly despite hurting Gary deeply. I don't think it was her intention, but I do feel like she uses him. How can all this confliction be reconciled? When we expose clues about our true selves, they materialize in the minds of others as cues of how to deal with us, and in some cases create excuses they use to treat us less respectfully.
Kidding!
Based on his earlier skeeviness, perhaps it's from a subconscious level she treats him as a usable commodity, and is therefore not exploiting him in a knowing or malicious capacity.
You're talking in circles.
That's the inherent problem in attempting to beguile. By presenting himself as a bit trifling and willing to be manipulative, he maybe relegated himself to the gross type of dude women inherently take advantage of, since in the end such guys are deceitful pushovers easily manipulated, their actions having proven they aren't worthy of greater respect. If all this were true, I would say his earlier antics fall into the category of play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
You're too busy teeny bopping all over the place.
In the very best circumstances, Gary's a malleable rebound to latch onto for as long as he's willing to be used. Worse, a nice guy rebound, so underlying dickishness could have emerged when Karen failed to live up to his expectations, and she came down from the pedestal he put her on. Meaning the second his real side emerged, she would have become quickly disillusioned with the guy so fast to profess love. So, even if he had gotten her, it wasn't likely to work out when she failed to live up to his dreams, and he started shaming her for her choices. No matter what, if watched properly, this is a film that brims with some solid lessons, not least of which being that attraction is attraction, either it's there or it isn't, and no amount of good deeds will add up to an aphrodisiac effect. Rick was, well, a bit of a...
Break the brick!
But he was his obnoxious self the whole time. Gary tried to play it cool, and when that failed, he wore his volatile emotions on his sleeve, and when unhappy, had some real glower power. In the end, he was, as a very smart man said to me, the definition of the scheming nice guy. Unfortunately for Gary, his schemes failed.
What are you trying to say?
So you don't have to feel any worse for him than any guy who ignored reality and followed his own worst instincts to his own emotional undoing. Well, I've about reached the end of the rope, so I won't leave you dangling. Thanks for hearing out my ravings. Please share any refutations, opinions, accusations, japes, or other ideas in the comments below. And please join me for whatever I'm up to next time. Bye now!
Bye, creepy man! Keep it creepy!
Now he's talking. All right, listen up, guys. Everybody put in a buck. And the man who's got the biggest tool, he's the one who wins the pool.
It's not too late to whip it.
He's a weird guy.
A split. Good night, everybody. Good night, Gary.